Hey guys, so following my last video, we finished Act 2 and now we continue our journey through the Act 3 of the game. Now, before anything, I'd like to thank you all for continued support. You guys give me great advices and good tips. Thank you for that, and now let's get back into the video. As you can see, I started my journey in the slums, I upgraded my skill points a little bit, I slowly but surely made my way into the dungeons. I did one of the Ascendancy quests, I had only a few of them left by now. I grabbed the quest item from the dungeon and I made my way back to the city for the reward. Following that, I moved my way into the sewers. I found this blockage that I wasn't able to clear just yet. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to do it later. And I collected all the stuff they asked me to collect. From there onwards, I made my way out of the slums and I was continuing my journey. Here I found the catacombs, but at the moment I didn't have any quests here, so I just decided to return whenever I have. But as it turns out, there was a quest, Ascendancy quest, I just didn't know yet at the time. So I moved out and made my way to the battlefield. Clearing my way through the battlefield, I entered to the Lunaris temple and I cleared the dungeon here as well. And I found my way to the waypoint and later on to the level 2 of the temple. Here this colossal giant attacked me, I cleared him, he dropped a flask, and I continue on my way. Once I cleared the dungeon, I found another waypoint and I found Lady Diala. She was surprised that I'm not a cockroach. She asked me to find her a ribbon, which I did, and I continued on my way. From there onwards, I went to the docks, I leveled up a little bit of my skills. In the docks, I found another waypoint and I found an old friend. I found the Captain Freygraves. He immediately apologized for trying to kill me last time. I told him we're good as long as he's sorry, and he asked me to help him and I said yes. But before that, I went back to the lady and gave her back her ribbon. She rewarded me with an amulet. I took it and I made my way back to the sewers. Back in the sewers, I was able now to clear the blockage. Once I cleared the blockage, I found another recipe for my crafting table and I made my way out of the sewers. Once I made my way out of the sewers, I found this general that I needed to kill. I don't think he was that strong, however these guys did corner me and I did die unfortunately. No big deal, I came back, I dealt one by one and I did kill the captain. He wasn't really that strong. They just got lucky. Once I dealt with him, I made my way to the gardens. After that I explored the gardens a little bit and I found another Ascendancy quest. This one probably was the easiest one of them all, and it also gave me a crafting recipe, so all in all good stuff. I cleared some more mobs in these gardens and I found the plum that Captain asked to bring me for him. I also dropped this mask. It had a lot of interesting options. I'm not sure if that's the best mask for me, so I kept it in the bank for now. We'll see if I can use it later. I went back to the city, took my reward, and from there I made my way to the docks to speak to the captain again. The captain wanted to end his existence, so who am I to say no to him? I will gladly help him. The guy just wants to rest in peace. And as a kind gesture, the captain awarded me with the ring. Following that, I made my way to the Lunaris temple. Here in this temple I killed quite a lot of mobs. There wasn't anything special or too interesting here, aside from how the dungeon itself looked. It looked pretty nice, it had an interesting design to it, but I didn't get anything interesting to recall. I finally found PT and it was a battle time. Now, I can't say that she was the strongest enemy I've ever faced, but she wasn't too weak either. She did give me a run for my money. However, she didn't drop anything interesting, anything noteworthy. The only thing I got from it is a recipe, but still, I'll take that. That's better than nothing. After that, I made my way back to the Imperial Gardens, and I made my way to the Scepter of God. One thing I have to say about this dungeon, I wasn't exactly a fan of it, I'm not gonna lie. The dungeon was just massive, but there was nothing really that interesting in it. I found this lady that I needed to free. She was at the very top of the dungeon. Once I freed her, the quest told me to ascend to the top of the dungeon, which I kinda was already there, so I was confused where I need to go. So I started just running around a lot. I went to every floor and I explored every inch of this dungeon just to find where I need to go. And apparently there were more than one set of stairs, so I just needed to find the right one. But by trying to find the right one, I made my way all the way back to the very first floor and I made all the way back to the entrance of the gate. Once I got to the very beginning of this dungeon, I had no other option but to climb up again and start looking again. Once I made my way back to the, I think it was 3rd floor or something, I started to explore again and eventually I found new stairs. Those new stairs brought me to the different part of the dungeon, and from that different part of the dungeon I found yet another stairs and I finally found my way to the top of the dungeon, which was the rooftop. And on the rooftop, I finally found the final boss of the Act 3. Now, I have to say, this guy, he was pretty strong. He surely gave me a run for my money. Like, this wasn't all that easy anymore. It wasn't the most difficult thing in the world, but it was pretty difficult and I did die quite a few times. To be fair, I probably could have avoided quite a few deaths if only I was a little bit more careful. But then again, I am still learning, so dying is not that big of a deal just yet. I died to this boss probably just as many times as I have died in general before I got to him. So I wasn't dying too much in this game, so it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't annoyed just yet by it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get there at some point in time, however. Once I did kill him, he actually spawned another version of himself, which was a little bit stronger actually than the first version. It looked sort of like a corrupt dungeon version or something like that, and he immediately just killed me. Then I went back and I tried again, and yet again he found a way to kill me. But that's okay, I went back yet again, but by then he didn't have that much HP left to him, so I was able to just take care of him. He dropped a lot of stuff, but unfortunately nothing super interesting, nothing that great for me. After that I made my way through this long bridge or tower or whatever you wanna call it. By the end of it I found the city of Act 4, the High Gate. And that's the story of Act 3, or so I thought. Then I remembered that I still have the Ascendancy quest left, and I also remember that I have one more optional quest to do, which as it turns out, it's not exactly optional. Because once I finished the quest, the guy had so much skills to sell to me that I couldn't call this optional. I'm very glad I did it. This guy didn't ask too much, he just asked me to bring him a couple of books. Once I did, he rewarded me with a skill and he opened his shop and there was a lot of skills. From there on, I made my way back to Catacombs and I quickly did the short Ascendancy quest, and then I went to the Ascendancy itself. Once I pressed activate Ascendancy, I went through the gate and here we go, we're starting our Ascendancy. Now to be fair, I thought this was gonna be like a boss battle or something. Honestly, I didn't think it was gonna be another set of multiple dungeons. Not that there is anything wrong with that, but I probably would have preferred just to have some sort of a boss battle or maybe even series of battles, because this game has already so many dungeons. I just thought that this one was gonna be something a little bit more different, but it was kind of more of the same, yet a little bit different, because there were different chests and everything, but mostly it was just more of the same. Not that I minded too much, that's okay. Once I entered into my first boss battle, this guy was immediately quite strong. He wasn't crazy strong. I think the Act 3 boss was actually quite a little bit stronger than this guy. And then I found these switches, and boy were they annoying. It took me maybe like 15 or so minutes before I found how to solve them. They were really annoying. Not gonna lie, wasn't a fan of those. I wish they were not here. They honestly felt more of a time waste than anything else. But at least it dropped me quite a little bit of stuff. And now the sad part. I died. And I died to nothing but a simple trap. Now that's what you call being not careful. And once I went back in, I thought I'm just gonna continue where I ended. But no, it was all over again. Good news, there wasn't no switches anymore. There was a different puzzle, which was quite a little bit easier and it took me like, I don't know, 30 seconds to finish. So that's the good news, but I did have to go through every layer of the dungeon from start. So from here onwards I knew I have to be quite a little bit more careful, and I decided that I'm not gonna use my buff that takes my mana away, because in my passive tree I have a skill that takes 40% of damage to my mana, so having all of the mana available made me quite a little bit more safer. Once I cleared the second part of the boss, I took maybe like another third of his health, and then I did maybe another 3 layers of these dungeons or so. I probably could have went straight to the boss, but I decided to explore a little bit more and do the other 2 layers. Because you know me, I like to explore. I didn't find anything of interest. I found some doors that needed keys to unlock, and unfortunately I didn't have those keys and I don't know where to get them, so eventually I just skipped them because I never got the keys. And once I cleared those other layers of the dungeon, I just went back to the final boss and I went in. Here I thought it was gonna be the toughest part of the battle, but honestly, by this time he only had maybe like a third of his health left, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And I wasn't using my buff, so I had all the mana available. Yes, I was doing a little bit less damage, but yeah, I was also taking quite a lot less as well. This wasn't too difficult. To be fair, he did drop a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff. Nothing that I needed, but he did drop a lot. It was a shame nothing for me. He did give me 2 keys from those keys I received quite a little bit like orbs and stuff, which is useful. Those are always useful. Yeah, I always like to get them. Then I found this enchantment statue and I don't know what it does because there wasn't any explanation or anything to it. I tried to put my wand in it just to see if I can enchant it or something, but it just told me I cannot do that, so for now I don't know what it does. I just moved to the Ascendancy, I checked what Ascendancy is available for me, and I knew that I need to pick an Elemist Ascendancy because my build is Arc Lightning. And so here we go, our first big milestone, Ascendancy completed. I don't know how many more there will be, but this feels like one of the bigger milestones so far, and it took quite a little bit more time to achieve than anything else before. So it was pretty satisfying, I'm not gonna lie. And this is it. Now, it's finally the end of Act 3. And after that, I went to the crafting table, put some elemental resistances to my gear and some spell damage to my weapons, and as you can see, this is the items that I have right now. I would say it's not as huge of an upgrade compared to Act 1 to Act 2, but this is still quite a decent upgrade, I would say. By now I have all of my 3 element resistances at around like 65 to 70%. I have 0 resistance in chaos, and I don't really know how to get it. I never saw any weapons or anything dropping with chaos resistance, and I don't know if that's super necessary for me, but I know that elemental resistances are, and I'm working my way to 75. By now I'm pretty close to that. And so this was my journey through the Act 3. So what are my thoughts on Act 3? I have to say that the game by now starts to feel a little bit more difficult, not in a major way, but everything feels just a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher, everything takes a little bit more time. The Ascendancy was definitely the biggest milestone so far. By the time I killed the boss of Act 3, I thought that the Act 3 was quite a little bit more shorter than the Act 2, which was surprising to me. But then once I went into Ascendancy, it all came along, because with the Ascendancy, it was quite a little bit longer. Now, like I said, the only thing I wished in Act 3, that the Ascendancy itself would have been maybe something a little bit more different than the dungeons. Don't mind too much, because it is fun, but something a little bit different would be also quite fun. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed it, it was a fun journey, and now my eyes are set on the journey of Act 4. Now, if you made this far into the video, I'd like to say thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this video and this series as a whole, consider subscribing, as making these videos take me a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of days, and having you supporting me means a lot to me because I am a small channel, I make everything myself, and if you can appreciate that and consider subscribing and liking the video, that would be amazing. As always, you are awesome, thank you for watching this long, I'll see you in Act 4, bye bye.